Hi, I'm Susan Bushel from freeyoremotions.com. I'm an energy therapist and an accredited EFT practitioner in Guelph, Ontario, Canada. I just really feel like I need to be honest with you around this. I think EFT is often presented as being very simple, very straightforward, and very effective, which it is. But it's not always easy. And one of the main reasons that people stumble or people find getting down to using their tapping skills is that it does take some courage, especially initially, to get going, to start to connect to your feelings and start tapping on them. So I thought it's quite important for you to just acknowledge for you that, yeah, it is a little scary sometimes. And the reason is that our culture teaches us to be ashamed of our emotions, to feel embarrassed or humiliated or even apologetic for our own feelings. Last night I was watching the news and there was a father on the news broadcast who was talking about the death of his son, and he started to tear up a little bit, and he paused and he said, "I'm sorry." He was sorry for his own valid emotions around having lost his son. And I just feel like that's just so sad. Because if we can learn to love and accept our emotions and learn this amazing technique to release those uncomfortable emotions, there's no need to apologize. So, yep, initially it does take a little bit of courage to get going. So I want to talk about that just for a few minutes now. It's not as hard as you think. That's probably what the main thing I want to say is at first, it feels way bigger than it is. But I will also let you know that however you feel about the problem, you've earned it. You really have. Someone, something, some event, the way you were raised, your family culture, all kinds of things make us feel the way that we feel. But at the same time, it's also a very subjective response to what's happened. And it is not who you are, despite how it feels sometimes. Yes, emotions, feelings, limiting beliefs can be very powerful feelings. We can literally feel them in our body. They affect our sleep, they affect our relationships, they affect our business, our careers, all kinds of things. But they are not who we are. They're how we reacted to what happened to us, or how people treated us at the time. So I want you to remember that first and foremost, and to know that with a little bit of experience with a somatic release technique like EFT, then it starts to feel, you start to gain a confidence in EFT, you start to trust that it's powerful enough to deal with whatever you throw at it, whatever emerges, even if it's surprising and you don't even know what this feeling's called, the EFT can handle it. But you've got to get a little experience first, and so that's where the courage comes in. Okay, so it's not as hard as you think. And the second point I wanted to make is that it's really important to know that you have to own the feeling and you have to know how to own the feeling. So again, many of us are taught to hide our emotions. I hear things from clients and students like, well, my family just doesn't do feelings. We just don't do feelings. Or I was taught to hide my feelings because it would embarrass the family. Something like that. So we don't have a lot of experience with feeling our feelings sometimes. We know they're there. We know they're wreaking havoc in our life, but we don't have a lot of experience with them. Many of us, not all of us, but some of us, right? And so when they start to emerge, it can be surprising, it can feel strong and overwhelming, but I can guarantee you that as long as you keep tapping, as long as you own the problem, it will clear. Now, having said that, I think it's important to say, or to give you permission, you don't need to dive into the deep end of the emotion. A lot of times people think, okay, I'm going in, I got to blast the doors off at this, I've got to kill it, I've got to beat it. And in actual fact, the exact opposite response is what you need. You need to accept, love, and embrace the fact that you feel this way about the problem. And that's my other point, is that it's really important to accept exactly how you feel about it without any judgment, without any criticism. right? So for those of you that know tapping, we often start here to set the intention. Even though I feel this way, even though I have this problem, even though I have this issue, whatever it is, I deeply and completely accept myself. And we also sometimes tap here as well. So important to remember that that acceptance, the part that's about acceptance, is there for a reason, and it's very important. So the more we can come out of the judgment, the self-judgment, the better. Now, if you notice that you are really having a hard time saying, I deeply and completely accept myself, if that's a hard one for you, back it up. That's exactly what you should be tapping on. Even though, right? Even though I can't accept myself like this, I can't accept myself with these feelings, I'm willing to work towards it. Something like that, okay? Modify the second half of the statement for yourself. Make it easy. Make it something you can really wrap yourself around. So the acceptance, the non-judgment, own the problem, but you don't need to dive into the deep end. It's not as hard as you think. And then, of course, my fourth point is now tap. Don't forget to tap. Again, we're really good at talking about it, talking around it, talking with our girlfriends or our fellow EFTers about it, but it's then time to tap. And to do that on a regular basis. And I'll also suggest that you tap with a buddy, a tapping buddy we call it. And if you have a big event that you know has been very hurtful or painful, if you have a recent grief or loss, I'll encourage you to not attempt to work on that on your own, but to work with an accredited practitioner and have them be your safety net while you work on that issue. And you'll feel far safer. You will be far safer for sure, in terms of if the big emotions do come up, somebody's there to remind you to not stop, to keep tapping, keep breathing, and within a few minutes, that emotion will crest and you come down on the other side and you'll go, oh, that feels so much better. Okay? So I felt it was just really important to point out those basics, because a lot of times people don't know how to get started. So this is Susan Bushell from Free Your Emotions. Thanks for listening, and please share.